Yo, the Pegasus 42 just dropped.
Oh, nice. How much is it?
$145.
But I can get the Pegasus 41 for $100 now. Is it worth it?
Well...
Oh, look, and I can also get the Pegasus Premium for $145 now as well. Surely these are not better than the Pegasus Premiums, right?
Well...
Oh, and then there's also the Pegasus Plus. I actually completely forgot about those.
But,
which one do you think I should get?
Well, definitely...
Oh, and then there's also the Vomeros. What about the Vomeros?
Okay, you know what? Just never mind. Never mind.
So here we have them, the Pegasus 42, which just dropped today, April the 9th. And I've been wearing these for a while now, trying to get as many steps in them as possible, doing a few runs, wearing them to the gym, around the house, on the treadmill, etc. All to try and really figure out who should be buying this pair of shoes. And I will say that there is one change that Nike made to this pair of shoes that does actually make a pretty big difference, and also makes them incredibly comfortable compared to previous models. But ultimately, I think that this latest version is going to be one of the hardest decisions a Pegasus buyer has had to make yet. There is now more versions of the Pegasus than ever before, and obviously we're not even talking about the competition here, we're just talking about Nike's lineup. You also have a bunch of other brands that make comparable different types of shoes that you would potentially prefer over these. So yes, the Pegasus 42 does come with a lot of different alternatives, whether you're just buying from Nike or from other brands. There's just so many decisions to make when it comes to this sneaker. Either way, before I get into it, here's all of the details that you want to know about this Pegasus 42. So they retail at $145, which is the same as the Pegasus 41. Thankfully, no price increase over here, although the Pegasus 41 already came with a price increase, so it'd be pretty insane if they decided to bump the price up on these as well. So essentially, same higher price point for these. Now, it joins Nike's running shoe lineup as the icon model. As we know, last year, Nike shuffled things around, made it simpler, but also a little bit more confusing in the same sense in terms of which shoe to buy. So you now have three of their flagship models, which is the Vomero line, the Pegasus line, and of course the Structure line. Within each of those lines, you also have a tiered system. So you have the Icon, the Plus, and the Premium. Now the Pegasus has had an annual update for years now. As we know, this is the 42nd version, but I'm also not entirely sure whether they're going to continue that with the rest of the options. Like, is the Plus and the Premium also going to have an annual release? Are we going to get a Pegasus Premium 2.0 this year? I'm not entirely sure, but at least this one is keeping the annual release going. I mean, I do think if there's going to be an annual release of all three versions, that's a little bit excessive. Now, the 42 does come with some upgrades over the 41, as you would kind of expect. But at the same time, of course, we're talking about the Pegasus here. For the longest time throughout the generations, there's always just been slight little tweaks and minor upgrades, nothing to truly change the model substantially. So again, these minor updates that have been made to the 42, it seems to be what people want. They don't want a huge revamp of the model. They want the Pegasus that they know and love, just with some minor updates that keeps the model moving forwards. So the biggest change, and I think the biggest selling point for Nike with this pair of shoes, is they're going back to the full zoom air unit in the midsole. Now this one is actually sculpted, so it has that curve, something that they spoke a lot about with the Pegasus Premium. So essentially just think about it exactly like the Pegasus Premium, where it's curved towards the forefoot, but just you can't see it on here. Now it's also a lot thinner. It's not going to be the same thickness that the Premiums have, but generally speaking, it operates under the same exact way that Air Zoom has always operated under, which is just a bag of air with little strings attached to the top and the bottom of the air unit, which compress as you step into it and then snap back into place as you move off. So again, it's to add more responsiveness to the sneaker. So the Pegasus 41 had two of those Air Zoom units, one in the forefoot and one around the heel, whereas this one full length. Now, you don't necessarily feel a huge difference, but again, that's not what they're going for. So you do feel a slight little bit more responsiveness in these things, but it's not going to be something that blows your mind. Now, another big change, which also adds to that responsive feeling of this pair of shoes, is the now like a little bit of a change of shape that they have with this one. So it curves up at the forefoot just a little bit more, which is just a little bit nice when you're moving off of the toe. It just gives you a little bit more spring, which I actually quite like. The foam is the exact same. They haven't released a ReactX X 2.0 version. This is just the same ReactX that you found in the Pegasus 41. At least that's something that Nike does very well. They keep it pretty simple. When they say a foam is the foam, it's the same across the board. You don't really get like how Adidas does with Light Strike, and then you get a bajillion different versions with all the same name, and you don't know what you're actually getting. This is the ReactX that you felt in a bunch of different Nike shoes. Same thing here. These have the exact same 10mm drop that we we found in the Pegasus 41. Pretty much the same weight. These are 300 grams for a men's size US 10. 41s were 297, so again, same. But the biggest change that I found with these things, and one that I think a lot of people are going to really like about the Pegasus 42, and certainly my favorite update to these, is the wider toe box. These now fit like a damn glove. Now, it's not like they've completely changed the fit or anything, but they did update the last, so there is a slight difference and you can really feel it. That tiny bit of extra room that you get in this toe box just does make you feel a little bit more grounded, like there is a better feel to it, and it just fits a lot nicer. And it's something that I really did have to try on side by side because I didn't have any issues with the 41s in terms of fit. So putting the 42s on my left, putting the 41s on my right, and just feeling it out, you can really notice it. And I think that is the single biggest update to these things and what does actually make these more comfortable than the 41s, because it's not going to be the upgrade in foam. You're still getting that kind of mid-tier stack height where it's not over the top. It's kind of, you know, lower stack height. So it's something that creates this versatility with the Pegasus 42 and the Pegasus line in general that everybody loves about this shoe. But to make this as simple as possible for anybody who is interested in this latest version, are these better than the Pegasus 41 and a good update? In my opinion, yes. Should you buy these? Well, that's a little bit harder to answer. Now that you can find the Pegasus Premiums discounted or the Pegasus 41 for $100 or less, it makes the brand new 42s a little bit harder to recommend. Now, if all of these shoes were at full price, you know, $220 for the Pegasus Premiums, $145 for the 41s, and then these things coming in at $145, easily I'm recommending these. Premiums at $220, these become a lot better value. They run well, they're super comfortable, and just the best version of what the Pegasus line is so good at. An incredibly versatile pair of shoes that is also just maximum comfort. It's the shoe that you could really do it all in. They feel great running in them. They feel great walking around, just going to the gym, running errands, just standing around all day. This is that pair of shoes that's not over the top. It's just good at pretty much everything. So yes, ultimately, if you want a pair of shoes that can do it all, these are great. But this is where you kind of have to ask yourself, do you want something that is great at everything, or does your lifestyle or the shoe you're looking for lean a little bit more into a different direction? If you're even slightly a little bit more towards the casual lifestyle wear, those Pegasus Premiums discounted might seem a little bit more appealing and probably the better option. If you want maximum comfort regardless of what you're doing, that's when I would say look towards the Nike Vomero line. The Vomero Plus is just definitely my recommendation. If you're on a budget but still want the best all-rounder, that's when those discounted Pegasus 41s come in. You can find them for just about $100. Or hell, even better, the Nike Winflo, a phenomenal alternative to the Pegasus line. The Winflo 12 just released and it's really, really great. I have loved testing these things out, wearing them around. It's not going to have the same snappy, responsive feel that you find with the Pegasus. It doesn't have the same ReactX foam or the full-length Air Zoom unit. But for $110, you're getting an incredibly comfortable pair of shoes. It's a nice, decent, upgraded stack of Cushlon 3.0 foam, which is nice and soft. These are going to be great for very similar things to the Pegasus, like great for runs, great for casual wear, and doing it all while being extremely comfortable. The great affordable alternative to the Pegasus line, and in my opinion, looks incredibly good. Which, while we're on the topic of looks, let's talk about this new updated look that they did with these things. I'm just gonna say it, potentially an unpopular opinion, but I prefer the way that the 41s look to these. Now, I'm not saying that this is a terrible looking pair of shoes. I like the design, but the 41s were just flawless in my opinion. These do have a slightly more slimmer, I guess, fast look to them, if that's a way to describe looks. The materials on here are very, very similar, if not exactly the same to the Pegasus 41. You're getting that mesh system, which is actually double layered. I will say that these are probably going to be a little bit more breathable. You just have wider holes for ventilation, both on the side and on the toe box. Plenty of ventilation around the tongue area as well. So breathability, non-issue with these. The entire upper is made out of that double layered mesh, except for this very, very small little TPU or rubber line that goes across the side of the shoe, which kind of looks like stitch lines, but I don't think it serves any practical element to this sneaker at all. It's strictly visual. Very similar padding to the 41s. I don't think there's much of a change here at all. It's still pretty decent and is going to feel very nice and comfortable. And of course, you've got the classic little branding elements that you find on here, like the Air Zoom full length. They literally wrote that out to make sure everyone knows this is full length this time. You got the Pegasus 42 fused in a rubber overlay around the heel, and then also Pegasus 42 on the tongue. Very similar lacing setup. It keeps it pretty much identical around the top half, but then kind of moves back to a more fused eyelet style over on the bottom. Now, one thing that potentially could be a little bit of a drawback with this pair of shoes, which I know some people are not going to like, but that is the outsole. The Pegasus line for the longest time has always had kind of full coverage, or at least mostly full coverage of a rubber traction. This one actually leaves out quite a lot of just exposed foam underneath. So it might not have the exact same durability as the previous versions. Even the 41s had a lot more rubber coverage, but you shouldn't really have any issues with grip or anything like that. There's still plenty of traction underneath. But I mean, of course, if you do have any issues with grip, Nike will happily sell you the new Pegasus Trail version that's upcoming. There is so many Pegasus options now, but ultimately, I do really like this pair of shoes. I think the biggest standout for me personally has to be the new fit. That is something that I do really appreciate. They're super comfortable and a great workhorse. Again, just think about this pair of shoes as something that just does it all. If you're looking for that shoe that you just can feel pretty confident you can do whatever you want in these things, this is a great update and a great way to go. For anybody that has been sick and tired of how soft and huge the stack of foams underneath shoes have been getting, this is one of those which doesn't go crazy with a huge stack of foam, so you may prefer that feeling when you're walking around every single day. But of course, there is plenty of other alternatives to this. If you are interested in something a little bit more comfortable, we have to start looking at different brands. Like this New Balance Ellipse is an amazing option for comfort, but I made an entire list of the most comfortable sneakers that you can buy. I'll throw that video up here, but if you're a Nike person, I get it. I'll throw the top 10 list over in that corner. Click on either of these to check it out.